What's up, weirdos? Scott here. Thanks again for visiting the channel. As always, I appreciate it. If this is your first time to the channel, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the content. Sorry, no joke today, guys. Instead, I'm going to be talking about something a little different first. I'm going to take that time to spread some thoughts I've been having. But I am going to be doing a quick review on the Miguron Moyarl today. And after I do the review on this knife, I'm going to go ahead and look through the comments. And I'll do a random comment picker on this guy, and I will post another video later letting you know who wins. I am going to let this go for about 8 hours before I post the winner. So hopefully everybody can get in on this. But I want to get some stuff out there. There's been, I'll play with this guy just while I'm talking so you guys aren't totally bored. Grab a sandwich and a drink. This might be lengthy. I don't know. I'm going to try to keep it as quick as possible, but I'm just sick and tired, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was moving the camera around. I'm sick and tired of everything that's going on in the world today. It's really, really frustrating. I feel like we're headed down a really unpredictable and dangerous path in our society today, and it's scaring the hell out of me and a bunch of my friends. So I know I don't normally talk about politics or things like that on this channel, but you're going to get something a little different today. So I'm just going to go through a few different topics, stating, my feelings on things. I've gone through this with my wife. There's a few things that she disagrees with me on, but for the most part, if I was wrong and I was just being an asshole, believe me, she would be the first person to tell me. So just in our culture today, everybody seems to be losing their minds. Just absolutely losing their minds. Everything that was wrong is right. Everything that was right is wrong. Just everything's upside down, backwards, and inside out. And it's really frustrating for me. So anyway, I'm just going to be going through some popular topics or buzz topics or whatever the hell you want to call it, expressing my opinion on them and trying to wake some people up. If you guys disagree with anything that I say here, please feel more than welcome to go into the comments and have a discussion with me about these things. I'm not really, when I get into discussions with people, I'm not going into it trying to change anyone's mind or anything like that. I just talk to people about the truth and try to educate people whether they want to be educated or not. I'm not implying that people are, generally stupid. I think there's a lot of stupid people in the world today, but I think that most of the world, I kind of feel like we are in the frog in the pot of water type of situation. If you put a frog in a pot of water, put it on the stove and turn it on, the water will heat up, the frog's body will adjust to the temperature, and he'll just sit there until the water starts boiling and he dies. That's where we are right now, guys. If the world, the society that we're in right now isn't scaring the shit out of you, it's because you're not paying attention. Period. If you were paying attention, you would be scared shitless. With everything going on around the world, people being murdered by undocumented citizens or whatever the hell you want to call them, all kinds of people going around rioting, not really right now, but it's been happening over the past couple of years. Everybody thinking that they can say whatever they want, whenever they want, wherever they want, do whatever they want, say whatever they want, wherever they want, however they want, to whomever they want, and nothing is going to happen to them. There's no accountability for anything. Most of that is due to social media. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to try to make this quick. So just a few of my feelings on the topics out in the world today. As far as transgender is concerned, the way I feel about it, trans men feel and live as men, but they're not biologically men. Same for the trans women. Trans women feel and live as though they're women, but biologically they're not women. Men cannot get pregnant. Trans men cannot get, can get pregnant, but that's only because they were originally born a female. Trans women can get pregnant. I just said that. I'm sorry. Trans men can get pregnant just because they were born a female and then they became a male. Trans females cannot get pregnant simply because they were born a man and they transitioned into being a female. I don't have a problem with people being trans, feeling as though they're a different gender. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Where I run into trouble is when they start spreading lies, they start talking about things that aren't true, and they start acting as though if you don't agree with what they're saying, then you're a piece of shit. I'm done with that. I'm over it. I don't care anymore. One of my daughters is transgender. She refers to herself as he, him, and I'm fine with that because she's always been respectful about it. She's never, screamed at me or cried or this, that, or the other if I make a mistake or anything like that. I don't have a problem with that. It's the assholes out in the world today that are just out of their fucking minds, using violence and a false narrative to try to get people to feel the way they want them to feel. That really pisses me off. Another thing is the feminism movement going around, and I don't know that I want to call that feminism because it's not really feminine. It's kind of like radical feminism. But all these women, we don't need men. Men are just toxic, and they don't have any real use in this world other than making babies and this, that, and the other. And I'm over that shit too. Women need men. Men need women. I'm not talking about in relationships. I'm just talking about in life in general. I don't understand why there are people out there that, women can do anything that they put their minds to, and there's absolutely nothing that a woman is incapable of. That's not true. It's just not. They can impregnate someone unless they were born as a man. They also, there's a reason that there's, the difference between men and women in like construction and, working on sewage, power lines, the very difficult, dangerous manual labor jobs. And that's because men are more capable of those things than most women are. I'm not saying that there aren't women that are capable of working on power lines, but if you look at the world today, or if you look at the job field today, you're going to see that it's dominated by men. And there's a reason for that. When I started as a nurse, the profession was dominated by women, and I was fine with that. That was not a problem. I knew that. I knew why it was, and, women are generally more compassionate and empathetic than men are. But nowadays, it seems like, it's getting closer to even 50-50, half and half men and women. And I don't see anything wrong with that either. I don't see why anybody else would. It doesn't make any fucking sense. You're wasting your time and your energy and your motivation. You're wasting it all on nothing. It doesn't make any sense to me. Men and women have different strengths and different weaknesses that complement each other. There's a reason for that. It helps the world go round. Women are better at some things, men are better at others. That just is what it is. It doesn't mean that you have to let, a man who decided he's a woman go into a sport that women, it's just a women's sport and they can compete because they're trans women. It doesn't make any fucking sense. If you really think that there's no difference biologically between a man and a woman, then you need to do a little more research and maybe start thinking for yourself. That's another thing. These are all facts that I'm saying right now. Everything that I'm saying is happening. Objectively, subjectively, it's just in the world, it's happening. If you disagree with what I'm saying, it's because you're not paying attention or because you have a closed mind. Those are the only two options. I'm going to move on a little bit. I'm sorry. So toxic masculinity. That's a real big on my list of things that irk me. But the toxic masculinity is a thing that's been well established. But so is toxic femininity. Basically saying there are assholes in the world. They do exist. Just because they're a man or a woman doesn't make any sense to label the entire race, the entire gender as toxic or violent or rapey or creepy or cringy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Stop criticizing everyone just because you don't feel the way that they feel. It's fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry for swearing so much, guys. On my other channel, I'm working on that stuff. This is kind of like a preview, I guess, if you would say, of that channel. I'm going to be swearing a lot more on that channel than I am on this one. So just so you know, just to give you a heads up on that. Gun control, another big one in society today. We need to increase gun control and decrease the amount of guns that citizens have access to, and this, that, and the other, and because we need to protect our kids. Gun control is not going to protect anyone, ever. It's just not. Taking guns out of honest, law-abiding citizens is only making them victims. If I see a gun-free zone, I don't see a gun-free zone. I see a target-rich environment where I'm not allowed to carry my pistol because somebody else might feel a certain way about it. And honestly, that's fine. But that doesn't change the fact that there could be whatever happening. And if we end up in a situation where, there's a shooter and I don't have my gun, nobody else does, I'm going to be okay. I know what to do. I'll be fine. But nobody else is. That's the issue. Was I going to say anything else about gun control? I don't think so. Gun control's stupid. What we need to do is make the screening process a little bit more rigorous. I'm not saying that we need to really completely restrict gun sales and stuff like that, but it just doesn't make any sense to me that anybody can go into a Dick's Sporting Goods, buy a gun, and walk back out with it on the same day. I don't mean that we need less guns. We just need to better monitor the people who are buying them so that we know, if somebody has a mental illness or they have a history of violence or this, that, and the other, but haven't been charged with anything, we need to be careful. We need to be more careful. That's it. If anybody hasn't been arrested, they'll still have medical records and things like that. I'm not saying that we should get into people's medical records. I don't want to go that far into it. All I'm saying is that taking guns away from honest citizens is not the answer. I don't know what the right answer is, but taking them away is not the right answer. I only own one. I'm not a gun nut. I spend too much money on knives to be a gun nut. So there's that. I'm sure it's going to piss off a lot of people, both gun nuts and people who are against guns, but I don't really give a shit. It's common sense, guys, and that's become a superpower these days. A lot of people don't have any common sense. Next is it's going to piss a lot of people. Gun control. I'm sorry, I already said gun control. I'm an idiot. Abortion. My wife and I kind of differ in opinion on this a little bit. Not a lot. She feels that abortion should be open and available to anyone who wants one. And I understand why she feels that way. I don't feel like abortion should be illegal in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but it needs to be more nuanced. It shouldn't be used as birth control. It shouldn't be used because you don't feel like having a baby. It shouldn't be used because the baby might have Down syndrome or this, that, and the other, and you don't feel like dealing with a special needs child. That's not okay. If we have situations where a woman's life is being endangered by a fetus that's inside her, the baby's not going to be viable anyway, and it could kill the mother, I don't feel like they should have to wait until the heartbeat stops for the doctor to save her fucking life. But, again, abortion should 100% not be used as birth control. It's fucking ludicrous. Grow the fuck up. You make a decision to do something stupid, you have to live with it. That used to be the way the world worked. It doesn't work that way anymore. Coming up next, puberty blockers. There are absolutely no studies that show long-term effects of puberty blockers on children. It's not possible. They haven't been being used for that for long enough for there to be long-term studies on it. So you can't say that puberty blockers have no adverse long-term effects. You can't say that. That's not the truth. Words matter. But they only matter if you use them correctly. If you're using words to make people think that you're a cat and you want to use a litter box in the classroom, that's not the truth. It's just not. Never has been, never will be. Shut the fuck up. Systemic racism. Now I got to get very careful here because I don't believe that there's any such thing as systemic social racism in our country. For the most part, we all live together, work together, everybody's happy. There might be a few nut jobs out there, but it's not the entire fucking country. I will say that there is systemic racism when it comes to the government, when it comes to corporations, things like that. People who stand to make money from things like this, and you know, how do you make money off of racism? Well, it's not rocket surgery. The government doesn't want us thinking together, talking together, working together. So they spread this narrative that the entire country is racist. So white people fight with black people, and black people fight with, you know, whatever, pale-skinned people. White people fight with brown people, Asian people. Everybody's racist against everybody else. And that's not actually the truth. It's just not. Fucking look around you. Do you see lynchings or anything like that in the country today? That doesn't happen. There are no serious racist threats out there. You do have the White Nationalist Party. You do have the KKK. But these groups are so small, they can't do anything substantial to anyone. They just can't. Otherwise, they would have. Over and over and over again. But that doesn't happen. It's just the government wanting to make us think that we should all be against each other. I'm going to try to move on here, guys. I'm sorry this is taking so long. It's just, I got to get this out there. People need to know about this shit. They need to start thinking about it. This is one of my biggest things, guys. I every time I hear somebody say it makes my fucking blood boil. We do not live in a democracy. Our country is a constitutional republic. Say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and its republic, and the republic for which it stands. We live in a constitutional republic. We do not live in a democracy. Not a huge difference, but you have to realize that in a constitutional democracy, you've got one person or two people who carry the wants, needs, and desires of its entire state onto the Senate, onto Congress, and they try to pass bills to make things that they want happen. But most of these people have an agenda. That's the issue. We do not all have a voice. We have one collective voice that one or two people go and, you know, do whatever they do with it. They don't have to do what you want. They just say that they will, and then you elect them. That leads me on to the next thing. It's going to piss a lot of people off. Voting is a waste of time and energy. If you disagree with me, you need to do some more research on the Electoral College. If you've never heard of the Electoral College, again, you're not paying attention. You need to be informed. The Electoral College is just a group of 500 or 600 guys elected from their states who go in, have a meeting, they look at all the votes, and then those states, with their majority votes, decide who should be president. That is not sustainable. People have agendas, people want certain things, and they'll do whatever they have to do to get them. It's just the way of the world. So if you have a couple of people from your state going and saying this person should be president, you need to really look at what these people's agendas are and what they really want out of life. Because 99% of the time, it's money. So, again, voting doesn't matter. It's just something else to keep you distracted and make you feel like you have a voice. I'm sorry if that bothers you. I'm sorry. I'm not really sorry if that bothers you. I'm sorry if what I'm saying is bothering you. But if it is, then move on. Go somewhere else. I'm over trying to placate people. It's ridiculous. Lastly, but certainly not least, this is another big one of my feelings on the world today. Everybody feels like their thoughts and feelings should be validated and affirmed and whatever. The only person in the world who is responsible for your feelings is you. So, that's all I had to say about that. Love that movie. Okay, real quick. If you want to follow me on Instagram, just go to Instagram, look up let's_do_it_up. LETS_DOITUP. I lost the card with my email on it. If you'd like to email and call me an asshole for saying all the things that I just said, that's fine too. It's S.A. Baker. I'm sorry, no, that's the wrong one. Let's DIU79@gmail.com. So, again, please, if you have something you want to say to me and you want to have a genuine, rational, adult discussion, that would be so refreshing. Please send me a message. I will respond to you one way or the other. If you send me a message telling me to fuck off because I'm an asshole, I'm going to ask you if you want to talk about it. If you don't get back to me, again, sending that message was a waste of your time and energy, period. Nobody wants to talk to anybody anymore. Let's do it up, y'all. This is the Miguron Moyarl. I absolutely love this fucking knife. Complex was right. This thing is absolutely amazing for what it is. This is a $40 knife. It is a budget knife. You're just looking at a simple construction, standard knife shape, but the build on this and the way they did it is just great. It really, really is. So right off the bat, we've got the blade length. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, I'd say 3.25 inches with a cutting edge of 2.75 inches with that generous finger choil there. You have a full flat ground blade, which is very high flat ground blade. They went all the way up to the spine, about half the distance of the blade, and they've got this kind of curved grind that allows them to have this opening hole here. I think that looks great. I really, really do. You have a little bit of a flat that carries out to about 50% the length of the blade, but the bottom of it kind of comes up to meet that, almost like a reverse drop point or reverse Warncliffe blade. Just to give you an idea what that looks like. I will give you some close-ups. Don't worry about that. Other side, you've just got the same thing. It says here 14C28N, which is an absolutely fantastic steel for budget knives. I absolutely love that steel. What does it say on this side? Nothing. That's lint. Sorry. Okay. So the handle here, I'm going to line this up on this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.25 inches for the handle, which gives you an overall length of 7.5 inches overall. Let's get some size comparisons out of the way. First off, compared to the Rat Model 1, that's obviously going to be quite a bit longer than this knife. The Rat Model 2, I think, is going to be just a little bit shorter than the Moyarl. Next up is the Ritter Hogue RSK MK1 G2. Doug Ritter's answer to the Benchmade Griptilian. The Ritter Hogue is going to be just a little bit bigger than the Moyarl, and the 80-20.5 is going to be just about the same length. It's maybe a half a hair shorter than the Moyarl, as you can see here. Next up are the SPYDERCO knives. SPYDERCO Paramilitary 2. Whoops. Let's try that again. There we go. The SPYDERCO Paramilitary 2 is going to be just a little bit longer than the Moyarl, and the Para 3 obviously is going to be just a little bit shorter than the Moyarl. Carry profile. Let's get these guys closed. Okay, so the thickness on the Moyarl is going to be just a little bit thicker than the Para 3. And the height on this guy, this is obviously going to be nowhere near as tall as the Paramilitary 3 is. So it's pretty good in the pocket. I like it. It's comfortable. It's super easy to use. This is a fidget machine for sure. Let me get a weight for you guys. Let's see if I can get this out of here without knocking my light down. All right. I can't remember. I think this is under 4 ounces. Nope, I'm sorry. Right at 4 ounces, which is not bad. I don't mind carrying 4-ounce knives. I usually don't carry 4-ounce knives, but that's not because they're too heavy. It's just because they're usually too small. All right. I just grab my calipers here. Make sure that's zeroed out. Give you a blade stock thickness. Can I get a thickness? 125 thousandths. 124 thousandths. I'm guessing that's 125. Okay, so Nice thin blade stock, which also, like I said, with that flat grind, carries down to a very thin edge. Very nice factory edge on this guy. I like it a lot. There's no real issues on the grind or anything like that. This is running on bearings. You've got Miguron symbol here on the pivot. I kind of feel like it would have looked better if it was horizontal instead of vertical, but that's an aesthetic choice for them. Nothing wrong with that. You can see that there are silver pivot collars. I don't think this show side has a pivot collar, but the lock side definitely has a pivot collar on it. You can see on other knives where they have different colorways on them. Like you can have a blue pivot collar here and then blue screws in the back. But on this one, obviously, it's silver. You do have a very nicely milled titanium pocket clip with just a short ramp that comes down, and then it clips up against the G10 there. This thing slides in and into the pocket almost effortlessly. This thing is great in the pocket. I never have any trouble getting it out of the pocket, never have any trouble using it, never have any trouble putting it back away. You can see that we've got some rather thick stainless steel liners here. When I unboxed this, I don't know why I said this, but I'm not sure if this is titanium or not. It's a $40 knife. It's not titanium, you friggin' moron. So you got a stainless steel liner lock here, very thick liners, and also some very thick G10 as well. I don't know if you can see here or not. Let me stand up so I can see the camera. So to show you the milling on the inside here. Yeah. This has some very generous milling on the inside of this knife for sure, especially with those thick liners. So that saves on weight a little bit, which is fantastic. I talked about the G10. You've got some T8 screws here and T8 screws as well for the pocket clip. T8 screw for the pivot too. So that makes me happy. On the show side scale, the G10 is kind of drilled out so that you have a spot here for the pocket clip to move sides. That's the reason that I got the liner lock version of this knife. I like the bar lock version aesthetics a little bit better. And I also like bar locks a little better than I like frame locks. Liner locks, just because of the aesthetics of it and the ease of use of it. Liner locks are probably a little more sturdier than a bar lock, a little more sturdier than a bar lock, a little more sturdy than a bar lock, but I just like the feeling of using them better than a liner lock personally. That's a personal choice. Anybody out there who doesn't like the bar lock, don't feel like I'm criticizing you. I'm not. You have a G10 backspacer here. I don't know why I feel like I always have to apologize to you guys, because sometimes people get upset with the things that I say for no fucking reason, in my opinion. The lockup is pretty good. It looks like it's about 35, maybe 45% lockup. See if I can show you that. I'm not sure if it's on the screen or not. I'm not going to stand up to check that. But the action on this thing is absolutely fantastic. You can see it drops straight down on those bearings when the lock bar is moved out of the way. When the lock bar is released, it does tighten up a little bit, but just a tiny little shake will get it to go down. The reverse flick on this guy is my favorite way to use it. It's the most satisfying. But the thumb flick also works very, very well. And you can slow roll this guy, which I think is great. I also love slow rolling knives personally, but that's just, again, personal preference. The lock bar access is very good. The G10 is milled down just a little bit, and then you've got a little bit of a you've got a little bit of a scallop there to help you actuate that lock bar a little bit easier. Like I said, the bearings are fantastic on this thing. I feel like if they would have used washers, it wouldn't have been as fidgety. And if you're worried about that choil there, you don't have to worry about it. I'll go down as far as I possibly can on this lock and then see if I can unlock it for you. And it just falls straight down on the fingernail there. You can see all those nicks and everything. So you don't have to worry about cutting yourself with this guy when you're disengaging it or anything like that. Disengagement is fantastic. There's no lock stick on this guy. And the D10, I feel like, is tuned absolutely perfectly for all two opening mechanisms, or all two opening mechanisms, I guess is the word I'm going to use. Any way you open this guy, the middle finger or the thumb stud, or the thumb flick or slow roll, the D10 is tuned perfectly for that. Centering is perfect, and there is no blade play left, right, up, or down on this guy at all. I do have to actually, you know what? Nope, this was the one I had to adjust a little bit. I will adjust this, but it's a little bit loose, but the blade, there's no real blade play in here at all, and there's no real up and down blade play either. But it does need to be centered a little better. I feel like it's off just a smidge to the show side there. So I'm going to tighten that pivot up just a little bit and make sure that works. I'm not going to do it on camera just because I have to go get my pouch first. I'm not going to make you guys wait. But I think that this is a really good looking knife. I think it's a really good functioning knife. I don't have any problem with the fact that it's from a budget company. I love that, actually. I think it's great. And I'm really excited to give this thing away to you guys. The other two knives, the Civivi knives that I have, I'm not going to be giving those away until I hit 1,000 subscribers. And that is coming up soon. I'm at about 890 right now. So I think I have just like 110 more subscribers before I reach 1,000. As soon as that happens, I will be giving away both of these knives. But the first person who wins, I'm going to offer them the choice of which one they want. Just because, you know, some people like smaller knives, some people like bigger knives. I feel like the first person who wins should get their choice, and then the second winner will get whatever's left. I hope you guys are okay with that. If not, send me another suggestion of how else I can do it, and I will consider that. But the ergonomics on this knife are fantastic as well. You've got this generous forward finger choil. You can choke up on it, get a nice good grip on it, and still have some of the handle coming out of the pinky or the back of the hand here. Very easy to use. I haven't really used it a whole bunch just because I'm sending it out to one of you guys, and I don't want to do anything to it before that happens. I think that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And stay up, weirdos. Take it easy. Bye.